Founders think the messy middle is the motivation problem, but it's actually a measurement problem. And that's exactly why they're grinding through years of invisible progress, wondering why discipline alone isn't enough. Here's what's actually happening. You're measuring progress against the finish line that's 5 or 10 years away, which means every single day between here and there feels like a failure, even when you're doing everything absolutely right. And if you're between 1 and 5 million, this is hitting you harder than anyone because you've already proven the concept. You've built something real, but the next level feels impossible, far away, and you've got no intermediate structure telling you whether you're actually on track or just running in place. If you keep operating with 5-year visions and no 90-day milestones or 30-day milestones, you're going to lose strategic clarity. Your team's engagement will decay month by month, and you'll make increasingly reactive decisions because you have no data on what you're actually working on. Just a growing sense that you should be working faster. I'm Camper Bull. I've helped founders and business owners build operating rhythms that turn long-term visions into quarterly momentum. I spent over 20 years watching businesses with identical potential diverge, and the difference is almost never the idea. It's whether they solved the messy middle or let it grind them down. Quick story. I was working with a founder last year, a SaaS company, strong product, about 2.8 million in revenue on paper. Everything looked promising. Good retention, solid team, clear market need, but when it sat down with her, she looked exhausted. Not the busy kind of exhausted, the defeated kind. She told me she hadn't felt momentum in over a year. Revenue was growing, but slowly. The team was executing, but without the energy she used to see. She described it as running on the treadmill in the dark. Moving, but no sense of getting anywhere. And when I asked her what the milestones they were tracking, she pulled up a 5-year strategic plan. Beautiful, beautiful document. Detailed projections, a $15 million target. And nothing, I mean nothing between where they were and that $15 million number. No quarterly themes, no 90-day targets, no monthly celebrations, no base camps. Just a summit so far away it was invisible. And a team being asked to stay motivated for years based on a number in a spreadsheet they never opened. So we rebuilt it. We took that 5-year plan and reverse engineered it into 20 90-day seasons. Each season got a name, a theme, a specific measurable outcome, and finally, something the team could point to and say, we did that. Within the first quarter, the team's engagement scores jumped, not because their work changed, not because she hired anyone, because people could finally see the progress that they were making. The fog lifted. The treadmill became a trail with markers. That's the momentum crisis. It's not that you're not making progress. It's that you've built no systems to see, measure it, or celebrate it. And when progress is invisible, motivation dies, no matter how disciplined you are. Here are 3 actions that will fix this strategically. If you only change one structural element in your business in this quarter, change how you define a quarter. Action number 1, stop running your business on annual goals and start running them on 90-day seasons. I'm going to be very specific about what this means, because this isn't just set quarterly goals. It's fundamentally different operating rhythm. Here's the structure. Every 90 days, seasons get 4 elements. Element 1, a theme. Not a revenue target, a narrative, a story, something the team can rally around. The infrastructure quarter, the customer obsession sprint, Operation Clean Machine. The theme gives meaning to the work beyond just hitting that number. And if you wonder about that stories, it answers the question, why does this quarter matter? In a way that people can actually feel. All right, element 2, 3 to 5 measurable outcomes. Not 12, not 20, 3 to 5 things that if you accomplish this in 90 days, prove the season was successful. These need to be specific. Enough that one 90-day sprint, you can look at each and say yes or no. Improve marketing, more like launch a new landing page, hit 500 trials, and get cost per acquisition under $40. Pretty straightforward, measurable, and achievable. But 3, a monthly checkpoint. On the first of each month, within the season, you check the scoreboard. Are you on pace? What's working? What needs to shift? What resources need to be assigned to make sure that we hit this? This is your base camp. 3 months is too long to go without a process signal, without flag. And finally, element 4, a finale. This is the part almost everyone skips, and it's the part that makes the whole thing really work. At the end of every 90 days, you stop. You review what happened, you name the wins, and you celebrate. Not a pizza party, a real deliberate acknowledgement that your team accomplished something concrete. This is what creates the feeling of momentum, not the work itself, the recognition that the work produced a result. Research backs this up. Organizations that run 90-day goal cycles maintain significantly higher engagement and with those that only have annual objectives. The reason is simple. We're wired for progress symbols. When you can see yourself advancing, motivating, and self-sustaining, when you can't, willpower becomes the only fuel, and willpower is a finite resource. We had founders implement this and tell me the single biggest shift wasn't performance, it was morale. There are teams that went from, are we getting anywhere, to look what we did this season. Same people, same work, different structure. A goal without a season is a wish. A season without a final is a grind. Action number 2. Action number 2 costs you 15 minutes a week, and it solves the single biggest morale killer in the messy middle: invisible progress. Here's the problem. Inside a 90-day season, a week can feel like nothing happened. Your head's down, you're executing, and at the end of a Friday, you look back and think, what did we actually accomplish? That feeling of working hard and having nothing to show for it? That's demoralizing. It is what erodes momentum day by day, not because nothing happened, because nobody stopped to name it. And here's the fix. Every Friday, set a 15-minute ritual. If you have a team, do it together. If you're solo, do it in a journal or even a Google Doc. And you answer these 3 questions. Question number 1, what are the 3 wins from this week? Now, these don't have to be massive. A client call that went well, a system that got built, a problem that got solved, a difficult conversation that got had. You're training your brain and your team's brain to see progress instead of just seeing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. What's the one thing we learned this week that we didn't know on Monday? This reframes setbacks as data. If a campaign flopped, you learn what not to do. If a hire didn't plan out, you learn what to screen for next time. Nothing's wasted. When you extract the lesson, you win. Question 3, what is the single most important thing to accomplish next week? Not the full to-do list. One thing that would make next week successful if everything else falls apart. This creates a pull forward when you leave Friday, knowing exactly where you are and what Monday is going to start. I started this with a client's team of 8 last year. After 6 weeks, the founder told me something I didn't expect. She said, the only weekly win ritual we just didn't improve morale, it improved my decision-making because you're forward thinking. When she could see what the team was actually producing week by week, she stopped making reactive change based on feelings and started making much more strategic adjustments based on the patterns that she started to see. She noticed which initiatives were compounding and which were stalling. Within weeks of instead of waiting for a quarterly review to tell her, the wins were already there. The ritual made them visible, and the visible progress is the fuel that willpower just can't replace. Action number 3 is the one that keeps you in the game when the structure alone isn't enough. Because even with 90-day seasons, weekly wins, there will be months where the grind gets heavy and you need something deeper. And that is a scoreboard. And here's what happens in the messy middle. that nobody really likes to talk about. You forget why you started, not intellectually. You can still recite your mission statement. You forget emotion. The buyer that got you started on this company, the problem that made you angry enough to build a solution, the vision of freedom or impact or legacy that got you through the first year fades. And when it fades, the work becomes mechanical, rote. You're executing a plan, but you've lost connection to the purpose behind it. And disconnection is more dangerous than any strategic mistake because it drains the energy that powers everything else. But here's the one fix. Once a month, I recommend the last Friday. Take 30 minutes alone and revisit just 3 things. Thing 1, the problem you're solving. Not your product features, not your market, not your positioning, not the human resources problems, the frustrations, the gap, the injustice, the inefficiencies that made you say, somebody should fix this. And then decide that somebody was you. Write it down fresh every time. Don't copy and paste from last month. The act of writing it reconnects you to the emotion, and the emotion is the fuel. Thing 2, the freedom you're creating, not just for customers, for yourself. What does that look like when this business reaches its true potential? What does your Tuesday look like? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you no longer doing? Specific, abstract visions of success don't motivate. Concrete pictures of a Tuesday afternoon truly do. The thing 3 that I encourage you to do, the evidence from this month that you're closer. Pull it from your weekly wins. Pull it from your 90-day season scoreboards. Find proof that this month you've moved the needle, even just slightly. Because the messy middle, the distance between I'm making progress and I'm wasting my time, is often just whether someone took 5 minutes to connect to the dots. I do this myself. Every last Friday of the month, and I can tell you, there have been months where that 30 minutes was the only thing that kept me from making a panic decision that I would have regretted. Not because it changed my strategy, because it reminded me why the strategy actually mattered. And then why I'm alive and this is alive, and how it becomes tolerable. If you're only measuring output, you'll run into the machine until it breaks. And the machine is you. If you want the Momentum Builder Kit, a complete quarterly planning template with 90-day session framework, a weekly wins ritual, worksheet for your team you can use every Friday, and a monthly origin story reconnection guide, it's in the description and the pinned comment. It's designed so you can set up your next season in about an hour and start running the weekly ritual this Friday. Because the messy middle doesn't require more willpower, it requires better structure. Remember, build a 90-day season with a theme, measurable outcomes, monthly checkpoints, and real finality. Turn the marathon into a series of sprints with rest stations. 2, run a 15-minute weekly wins ritual every Friday. 3 wins, 1 lesson, 1 opportunity for next week. And then 3, reconnect monthly with your origin story, the problem, the freedom, the evidence you're a closer. Do that, and you'll stop trying willpower your way through the years of fog and start building momentum season by season. Quick check. Are you currently running 90-day seasons in your business, or are you still operating off an annual plan with no milestones in between? Drop seasons or annual in the comments. I want to know which camp you're in. And once you've got your momentum system built, watch the video on isolation paradox next, because running a 90-day season alone is half as effective as running it with a peer group that holds you accountable to the milestones you set. That's the multiplier. Check the video on your screen, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning into today's episode on the strategy session, where we take your business from stuck to unstoppable. Here's another video I think you'd enjoy. If you found these insights valuable, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Remember, You're not just marketing, you're making history with Venture Gained.